Hey guys, William Mayette, creator of JAZZEDGE. I want to welcome you to my new Piano Accompaniment Essentials course. Now in this course, I'm going to show you how to sound incredible at the instrument while either accompanying yourself or others. Maybe you want to play and sing, or maybe you're working in a group, or you want to back up other people and accompany them. This course is going to show you how to do that right from ground zero. Now, accompanying yourself at the piano is not just knowing a bunch of chords or progressions. It's also understanding style. It's understanding how do you coordinate the hands together. And the way that I teach this to you is through a series of rhythmic pattern practice exercises. Now, Piano Accompaniment Essentials is great for beginners and also advanced level players. I have an inspiration section, which I'll talk about, that is geared especially for my advanced level players. But if you're an absolute beginner, don't worry, you're going to be just fine. Now, how does this work? Well, it's all done through a series of structured step-by-step lessons that are graded and they build upon one another. So this first lesson is relatively simple, and then as we go, we start to increase the intensity level of these different exercises. You'll learn chords, patterns, rhythms, and more while participating in some engaging practice. So we're going to practice together in this PACE program. You're going to learn by doing, and one of the things that I've done is I've taken out anything that is unnecessary. So anytime I've talked about stuff in another course, I will reference that other course so you can go ahead and find that information. But I'm not going to teach you again how to play triads and stuff like that when I've already done that in other courses. In this course, we're going to get right to it, and we're going to start making cool sounding accompaniments right away. So the structure of the course is basically structured into three parts, all right? So we start with an exercise, and then we do three different practice patterns, okay? So these patterns are the things that are going to build up your library of accompaniments, and then we're going to put all of that together with a backing track, and then we are going to move on to an inspiration part of the lesson. Now, the inspiration lesson is for more advanced players or those players that want a little bit more to practice. You don't have to do the inspiration lesson, but you can think of it as kind of like bonus material. Okay? We're going to start with a rock pop style, but then we're going to move into jazz and blues. So we start with a easier accompaniment style of rock and pop first, triads, that kind of stuff, simple octaves in the left hand. Then we're going to start to move into more jazz and rock and pop, jazz and blues styles later on. So we're kind of going in the opposite way. In the Confident Improviser program, we start in jazz. In Piano Accompaniment Essentials, we start in that rock and pop. And then it just all kind of moves around in a circle. So as pace moves on, we start moving into jazz, and in the Confident Improviser, we started in jazz and blues, and then we're going to start moving into rock pop improvisation. Okay? All right, so let's get started. Now, the very first exercise here is featuring a chord progression of Fire and Rain from James Taylor. So now we're just doing the first part of this of the song, okay? In follow-up lessons, we will do more of the song because I want to show you the rest of the song. But we're going to take it step by step here and just do pieces of it. All right, so now the very first thing here that you'll notice is that we're doing what? Root position triads. Like I said, we've already covered triads before, so take a look at my Piano Accompaniment Essentials course or Chord Essentials course, and then you can get all of that information on triads. Just real quickly, let me show you these notes. There's your C major triad, that's the root, the third, and the fifth. There's G minor triad, the root, the third, and the fifth. Remember that minus symbol here means a minor chord. And then there's your F chord, F major, F, A, and C, then back to C major. And then C major, and then down to G major. Notice the minus sign is gone, so we go to major, and then B flat. Now, this B flat, I'm still using my thumb on a black note there. It might feel a little bit weird, but you'll get used to that. You're just going to practice that. All right, now, something that's really important when playing chords, I see a lot of times a lot of players doing it wrong, even sometimes some teachers as well, I see them doing it wrong. Like a lot of like pushing down like that, right? And then like, the knuckle might break like this. So you see how there's like kind of like a break in there, right? Instead, you want to grab at those notes. All of that technique, that grab technique, is all discussed and taught in detail in my Piano Accompaniment Essentials course. But basically what you're doing is you're basically grabbing in at the notes. And a good exercise is take a tissue, right, put it down on the keyboard, and just grab in at those, grabbing at the keys like that. And then basically what you're doing is you're grabbing in and sticking. Grab and stick. So you don't keep going, you grab and stick. Grab and stick. Anyway, that grab technique is going to do two things for you. Number one, it's going to be great for your technique, right? So you're really going to be able to get a feel for the notes, and you're going to be much stronger and much more fluid and dexterous with your fingers at the keyboard. The other thing that it's going to do for you is that you're also going to be able to play all of the notes simultaneously. A lot of times students will like play, and it's like, they might hit the outside notes and then the inner note later. You're like, right? I'm exaggerating right now, but you can see how I'm not really hitting all notes at the same time, whereas when I grab at them, it makes it so I hit all of the notes at the same time. It also makes sure that I am playing not too heavy at the keyboard. All right, so here's our triad C. In the left hand, all we're doing is just simple roots. Just copying the root down here in the left hand. The fingering, 1, 3, and 5 for all of the chords. Now, one thing to note, we're going to be playing this in just a second along with the backing track. One thing to note is a lot of times we're not going to come back to some of this simple stuff. So you really want to make sure that even though I'm kind of blasting through this kind of quickly, you want to make sure that you know how to play these chords well. If you're going through and playing and it's like, whoops, and I'm hitting the wrong notes, if you're hitting the wrong notes, then slow it down. Make sure that you get all of the notes before you move on. Fingering in the left hand can really be whatever you want. See how I can use my second finger there, I can use my thumb there, okay? You obviously just want to be smart. You don't want to start with your pinky and then have to lift up and then move down to your pinky. So as you can see, C is the top note of all of this. So you're probably going to want either your thumb or your second finger on C. Let's try it together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now this is in 4/4 time, so you can count this as 1, 2, 3, 4. These are half notes. You can also say do, oo to vocalize. I'm going to put on the backing track here right now, right? And if you're a member, you get all the sheet music, all the backing tracks. You can download all of that, all right? So here we go. Ooh, 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 ooh. Or 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Try it again. 2. If you have trouble playing in hands together, just do the right hand by itself. But play it along with me. Willie, I want something more advanced. Don't worry, we're going to get there. You're going to make sure you get this down first, though. Now, this is also a great time to work on the pedal. See the pedal right here? When it's orange, it means I'm holding the pedal down. When it's gray, it means that I've lifted the pedal up. Notice what I do is I play each chord and I hold the pedal down. Right? So this is great pedal work as well. If you're not used to using the pedal, this exercise is perfect for getting better at that. So what happens here is it happens real quick, so let's make sure you see it. I start with the pedal down, I play that C chord, right? I don't have to hold the notes down because the pedal is going to hold them down for me. Now if I play the G chord and then the F and then the C without lifting up that pedal, you hear it all kind of rings together, right? We don't want that. So what we want to do is each time we hit a new chord, lift the pedal up and put it right back down. So it's down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Now even in here I did up and down because we're moving to a new measure, so I just wanted to make that chord a little bit cleaner, right? I could have just held on to it like that. Okay? Now make sure that you don't do this. See, it's down, and I go up, down. Sorry. Make sure you don't do this. I got to try and do it wrong here now. Down, and then let's see, how do I want to do this? Down, up, down, right? If I don't put it, if I'm not holding it down, right, then it's not going to hold these notes down. So I have to make sure that I don't, boy, it's so hard to do that. I'm trying to do the opposite thing, the wrong thing, and my body is so used to doing it, 30, 40 years of training. All right, so what I'm trying to say is you want to make sure that you hold the pedal down before you lift the chord. If you lift the pedal before you lift up the chord, okay, then the chord is not going to sound. So in other words, if I do this and I do up, down, and I don't hold the pedal down, right, you see that nothing's going to hold down. So hold it down. All right, let's move on to the next exercise. I think you got this one, right? Pretty simple. Now, what we're going to do now is inversions. So what is an inversion? So basically an inversion is just when we take the notes, right? So here's our C major triad, C, E, and G, and rather than playing them with the root as the bottom note, I'm playing it with either the third as the bottom note or the fifth as a bottom note. Here's another way of thinking about it. Here's a good example for you. Okay, so there's me, my daughter Annika, and my son Connor. Okay, let's say that I'm over here, then it's Annika and Connor. We are the Mayette family. Now let's say that my two kids move around, and now I'm in the middle, right, and they're on either side of me. We are still the Mayette family, we're just in a different order. That's what happens with inversions. So when I move these notes around, it's still a C chord, okay? It's just in an inversion. So this we call root position. That's first inversion. That's second inversion. Again, I cover that in more detail in Piano Essentials. Now, the reason that these inversions are important is because that allows us smooth motion between the chords. So see how I can go to C, then G minor, then F, then C, C, G, B flat. See how I don't have to move my hand around too much. And now how I move these different inversions is I look for common tones. So you see here I have C, E, and G. When I'm going to go to the G minor chord, I take a look and I think, okay, well, what notes do I have in common between this chord where I'm starting and that chord where I'm going to? Well, what do you say? Right? G is in common. So if the G is in common, then I just move down to these other two notes, the B flat and the D. Okay? Now, one thing that's confusing sometimes for students is they'll look at this and they'll be like, how do I see that as a G minor chord? Right? That I could see as G minor, but this I have difficulty seeing as G minor because the G is not the bottom note. And yeah, you know what? It is a little bit difficult at first to see, right? Because it looks very close to B flat, doesn't it? It's just that one note is moving. Trust the process. Trust that over time you will start to see these chords. But what you're looking for is you're looking for the main notes of the family, right? So if it's G minor, it's G, B flat, and D. Well, now it's just B flat, D, and G, or D, G, and B flat, okay? I'm still playing those same family notes, same notes of that chord family. I'm just playing them in a different order. Right? A little tricky to see, but you'll get it. All right, let's go ahead and just get right into playing this. There's C, G minor. Notice the fingering I'm using is 1, 2, and 5. Lift up, go down to F major, 1, 2, and 5, and then C major, 1, 2, and 4. You'll notice that when playing triads, I almost never play 1, 2, and 3. The only time I might play 1, 2, and 3 is if I'm going to add on another note, right? But now this is no longer a triad. This is a 4-note chord. Obviously, triad means 3-note chord, right? Tri, 3, 3-note chord. Okay, so this is no longer really a triad. This is now a 4-note chord. We could still kind of think of it as a triad since it's doubling these notes, but we're not going to split hairs on that right now, okay? So the main point is don't use 1, 2, and 3 for your fingering. Instead, 1, 2, and 4, or 1, 3, and 5. 1, 2, and 4, 1, 3, and 5. Those are really the two best fingering options. I see a lot of this 1, 2, and 3 stuff going on, and that's a great way of creating tension in your playing, and making it so that you can't play it well. All right? So anyway. And then 1, 2, and 4, 1, 2, and 4, 1, 2, and 4, and 1, 3, and 5. Now, also, remember, when you're playing, you don't want to do this. You don't want to like play and see how my wrist is all like bent over in a weird position like this. I want to move my fingers deeper into the key beds. Okay? Now, this is something that I'm going to be giving to you as well in Piano Accompaniment Essentials. We're going to be talking about technique. I see a lot of times technique is not really discussed all that much. It is with my lessons, all right? Because technique is super important. If you can't play it, well, then you can't play it. All right, let's go ahead through and then let's play this along with the backing track. We're going to do this 4 times through, nice and slow. Here we go. Ready? Go. Second time. Remember, you can do just the right hand if the left hand and right hand together is too much for you. If this is easy for you, right, you're a more advanced player, spell the notes of the chord. C, E, G. B flat D, F A C, C E G, C E G, G B D, B flat D F. So notice I did it in group position. That you could do the inversions as well. A C F, G C E, G C E, G B D, F B flat D, B flat D F. Right? So there's always a way in which you can bump up the intensity level of the exercise if you want to. Okay? All right, so that's what we have for the exercise portion. You have the root position triads and you have the inversions. Now, make sure that you kind of really have a pretty good understanding of that before you move on, because we're going to add on some complexity. If you don't understand, nothing wrong with pausing the video, pause the lesson, and then come back to it a little bit later.